Hello and welcome to the program, The Gavel. I'm Lanre Lasese. Now this week, I will bring you some national issues which federal lawmakers considered in the course of the week, and together we will walk through the decisions they reached arising from their deliberations. Now I can tell you that a lot of the issues the lawmakers considered focused on the economy and the way to ensure that government generates the much needed revenue for the country. The lawmakers also considered issues surrounding the disbursement of funds meant to address the condition of internally displaced persons in the northeastern part of the country. Our first report looks at some of the steps lawmakers say the country has to take as it seeks to come to terms with the present economic situation in Nigeria.
I rise to second the motion.
One of the things federal lawmakers did when they resumed plenary after the annual recess was to debate the state of the economy and prescribe solutions to getting the country out of recession.
On ethics, privileges, and public.
Now, these lawmakers in the Senate and the House of Representatives are inviting President Buhari to explain what the executive is doing to get the country out of recession.
Distinguished colleagues, I'll put the question that the Senate do concur to the House of Representatives resolution on an invitation of Mr. President, Commander-in-Chief, President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR, to address a joint session of the National Assembly to intimate it on plans to get the country out of recession, to enable to take further legislative action. Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it.
When the Senate debated the state of the economy, they made 21 recommendations to address the challenges facing the country's economy. They include that the fiscal and monetary authorities must harmonize all policies that lower interest rates for investors in the real sector and small and medium-scale farmers. Government should adopt peaceful means in the Niger Delta to restore Nigeria's oil production back to 2.2 million barrels per day. The federal government should negotiate foreign concessionary borrowing agreements to cover shortfalls in the 2016 budget. The federal government should leverage the use of pension and insurance funds to provide long-term capital and lending for agriculture, industry and housing projects. The House of Representatives also at Thursday's legislative proceedings concurred with these resolutions by the Senate.
So those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against it say nay. Ayes have it.
The Senate has also passed 8 bills received from the House of Representatives for concurrence. The bills, which are primarily amendments to existing laws, are expected to strengthen the enforcement mechanisms in sectors of the economy that can help boost internally generated revenue and address the current economic recession in the country.
I must say that this is a very unique development in the National Assembly and one that sincerely deserves commendation. 2 chambers working in step with the other for the good of the country. Let's hope this continues so that some of the amendments we're looking forward to, such as to our electoral laws, the Constitution amendment process, and the Petroleum Industry Bill, that those amendments will become reality. Now let's take our next report, which looks at the debate on a bill which seeks the provision of special grant to Lagos State.
To buttress the fact.
It was a bill which was likely to ruffle some feathers. A bill seeking special economic assistance to Lagos State. The sponsor of the bill, Senator Remi Tinubu, presents the lead debate on the bill.
The bill aims to remedy the many problems faced by residents and visitors in Lagos by empowering the federal government to make provision for economic assistance through grants as provided for under Section 164, subsection 1 of the Constitution of 1999 as amended. The bill allows the grant payable to be determined by the President and the Commander-in-Chief on the recommendation of the Governor of Lagos State, with a proviso that recommends a modest amount, not less than 1% of the share of the revenue accruing to the federal government. The amount is payable upon appropriation by the National Assembly. This grant will be utilized in meeting the public infrastructural need of Lagos State. For example, improving on rail infrastructure to decongest the roads, and for promotion of a conducive socio-economic environment for federal institutions, as well as increase the state's capacity to continue to play host. The bill also establishes a joint committee whose members both the President and the Governor of Lagos State appoint.
The floor is thrown open and the debate begins, with some lawmakers supporting the bill.
Maybe we should look at this positively in the first instance. Now, what does this bill ask for? It is asking for 1% of the federal government's allocation, just 1%. And this minimum of 1% is just to assist in the building of new roads, bridges, railways, and other public infrastructure. You go inside Lagos now, you will see the good job that the governor of Lagos State is doing, even with the resources that is so large to some people, but thin to the operators, to the administrators of Lagos. We cannot afford to let Lagos stand alone.
Either we like it or not, any economic assistance given to Lagos today, every tribe in Nigeria is a beneficiary of that economic assistance. Today, we are proud to tell us the Lagos population currently stood at an average of 17 to 20 million. My dear colleague, if we prorate this population, you will agree with me that a sizable number of this population belong to different tribes of this country. As we speak, if Lagos is given this 1% special economic assistance, the Igbos is a beneficiary. The Hausas is a beneficiary. And equally the Yorubas.
The situation became a bit tricky as some lawmakers neither supported nor rejected the bill outrightly.
If 86.2% of companies' income tax is generated from Lagos, it means Lagos State is very solvent. And if we go and approve bills like this, there are very despondent states, like Enugu State, Zamfara State, all these states with historical antecedents like the Zungeru and all the rest. They will be asking for special assistance from federal government. What is more, I think we can look at all the federal government assets that are abandoned in Lagos and see how Lagos State can leverage from that to break even.
Trouble began when Senator Adeyeye rose up to make his contribution. Some lawmakers were not amused by his utterances.
If it's 13% to Delta and to Bayelsa and to Rivers for oil, let it also be 13% to Lagos for the VAT paid there. Until we have fiscal federalism, the FCT will not work. By the way, the FCT is a rotten, pampered child. Yes, I said so. How come? I withdraw that. I withdraw that. I withdraw that. Please, Chief, we have to withdraw that.
The Deputy Senate President puts forward the question.
Those support that this bill be read second time say aye. Those against say nay. The nays have it.
And just like that, the bill was thrown out.
Please settle down.
The bill may be reintroduced another day, but for now, these lawmakers have made their voices loud and clear that they are not in support of any special grant for Lagos State.
Now, how are funds meant to address the condition of internally displaced persons in the northeastern part of the country utilized? Now, this is a question lawmakers want answers to, as we see in our next report.
Through no fault of theirs, these men, women and children have been made to flee their homes because of the Boko Haram insurgency and are now living in internally displaced persons camps scattered across the northern part of the country. It's bad enough that these Nigerians have lost their loved ones and all their property, They are also contending with horrific living conditions in these IDP camps, where hygiene, healthcare, a decent meal are luxuries and almost unattainable.
You may wish to invite the clerk.
Federal lawmakers are worried that the funds appropriated to making life bearable for these Nigerians are barely scratching the surface. They are also concerned that the presidential initiative on the Northeast is channeling the funds appropriated for IDPs into other areas. President Buhari inaugurated the presidential initiative on the Northeast in 2015 to address the crisis in the Northeast.
The situation on ground is not cheering. It's not something to write home about. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, there is actually a robust provision on the ground in order to tackle the provision even under presidential initiative on Northeast. But where we are, the presidential initiative on Northeast, instead of carrying its own statutory functions as enshrined by the policy document setting it up, they are busy dishing out contracts to friends, relations, and what have you.
We went to the Ministry of Agri in respect of the 63 missing trucks. I don't want to say it here, but I must say it because the attitude of the permanent secretary of Federal Ministry of Agri is really, really disheartening. In fact, I was really upset. I wanted to even walk out. Because when the leader mentioned, when he went to Maiduguri and discovered that the 63 trucks were missing, only 53 were delivered. So by the calculation, 63 were missing, and he made a press statement. The leader made a press statement. This is what he saw. And immediately the PAMSEC was attacking him. And this was 2 months ago. And up till now, as we are speaking, not a single truck had been delivered after those 53 trucks. And like he said, it was the same contractor that was given last year who diverted almost 95 trucks of grains, and he was awarded again this year. And when we inquired, we said, why was he awarded again? They said, they now found out the mistake that they have made, and they said, no, he was subcontracted. So I would want the subcommittee, the ad hoc committee that would be set up to also investigate the circumstances of which they would, how they awarded the same contract to the same person that had a case last year.
This attack has brought a lot of sufferings to our people. And to say, going through this list, I've not seen any allocation or any effort made by federal government to Yobe South Senatorial District. And again, I would want to add that not only should this ad hoc committee investigate the utilization of these funds, they should go further to identify the directors of these companies that handle these contracts. We should identify them, and appropriate sanctions should be meted on them as individuals.
Payment for supply of food and non-food items, 258 million. That was paid on the same 1st of April to Zenith Bank. But again, the company Lintex was paid 117 in a different account in Keystone. Cumulatively, Mr. President, 225 million was disbursed for provision of temporary shelter to IDP. 225 million. Myself and the Deputy Senate President visited this camp. What we saw cannot even go for maybe 4 million.
The Senate set up an ad hoc committee to ascertain how much has been released to the presidential initiative on the Northeast and how these funds have been utilized from inception till date. The committee is also to investigate the diversion of grains and other food items from the strategic grains reserves and other sources for the IDPs.